Hey YouTube, thanks for checking out yet another episode of
Hey, what happened
to this movie. Today I'm talking about the 1990 film Nightbreed.
What did you say?
I said, shut up! They won't come while you're here. They won't show themselves to the likes of you.
What did you just say?
What did you just say?
You said Midian.
Did I? Maybe.
What do you know about it?
It's where the monsters go.
Nightbreed is directed by Clive Barker and it's starring Craig Schaefer, Ann Bobby, and David Cronenberg. Nightbreed is a really unique creature feature horror film that flips the script and makes the monsters the good guys and the humans the villains. Clive Barker has always loved monsters, and he has also said in an interview, "There's a corner of all of us that envies their powers and would love to live forever, or to fly, or to shape change at will. So when I came to make a movie about monsters, I wanted to create a world we'd feel strangely at home in." He was interested in creating a horror mythology from the ground up, and developing characters that would live on in sequels. Nightbreed was the first of a planned 3-picture deal Barker had with Morgan Creek Production. That included an adaptation of Son of Celluloid and a Nightbreed sequel. The first compromise that Barker made with the film studio was changing the name of the movie from Cabal, named after the book, to Nightbreed. It seems the studio felt that Nightbreed would be a little bit more marketable than Cabal, because in their opinion, Cabal meant nothing. Barker agreed to the name change, and the studio handed him $11 million to make the movie Nightbreed. This was quite an increase in budgets, considering his last film, Hellraiser, only cost $2 million to make. Barker then went on to make what he called the Star Wars of horror films. Nightbreed was released February 16th, 1990, and it grossed just about $16 million on that $11 million budget. So the film wasn't a massive financial success, but the movie did not make enough money in order to make a sequel. Also, critics didn't really know what to make of the film and ended up just kind of beating it up at the time. So now, everybody, it's time to answer the question,
Hey, what happened
to this movie. The first thing this film had going against it was the marketing. This movie was completely mismarketed. It was marketed as just an average slasher film, and the reason for that is 2 things. Number 1, the head of the marketing department for the studio could not make it through the screening of this film. He sat down, tried to watch it to figure out how to market the thing, didn't make it all the way through. He said it was way too disturbing and violent from him, and he just couldn't take it. The other problem this movie had was when they submitted the trailer to the MPAA. Now, what happened there? Well, they said that they couldn't show any of the monsters in the trailer whatsoever. Apparently, the monsters were just a little too scary for the little kiddies of 1990. If the kids saw these things on TV, it would just scare them too damn much. So they figured a guy running around with a mask on and a knife, well, that's a lot more, cool for the kiddos. So these were some of the reasons that led to the horrible mismarketing of this film. They didn't mention any of the fantasy aspects of the film. They didn't mention any of the monsters, nothing. Just this slasher going around killing people and, cops going, I don't know what's going on. Another thing this film had going against it was the fact that the studio really didn't know what to make of this film. They didn't understand the fantasy aspects of the film. The thing that Barker really thought was its strongest element, the studio thought was its weakest element. They didn't support the film at all. They thought that the movie was way too violent. They also didn't understand why there wasn't any stars in the film. They said the movie was impossible to market. So yeah, lack of studio help really also kicked this thing in the balls. The final nail in the coffin for Nightbreed was the fact that the studio did not release any screeners or pre-events for critics or the media. They just said, screw you, we don't care, we're releasing this film without your input whatsoever. Now, the reason behind this wasn't because, hey, we have a crappy movie and we don't care what you critics have to say. No, the reason was because the studio felt horror fans are the lowest common denominator of movie fans, so they don't care if the movie's garbage or not. They don't read the critics, they don't care, they go see whatever crap is on the screen as long as there's blood and guts involved in it. So yeah, insulting your fan base, that's a really good way to get your movie way at the top of the #1 list, let me tell ya. Alright, enough about all the terrible, horrible things about this film. Right now, I'm gonna get to the reasons I like this movie. And the number one reason I like this movie is the thing the studio hated about it. I love the fantasy elements of this film. I think it adds a deeper story to this movie, and it also is something that you want to dive in more. You can tell that this film has a lot deeper mythology to it, and you want to learn more about the characters and more about the society of the Nightbreed. But unfortunately, this is all we got. Now, I do know that there is a special edition director's cut that Screen Factory put out a while back. I honestly, as much as I love this movie, I've never seen it. I honestly haven't. I know, terrible me, right? I've only seen the original cut. But the director's cut has about 40 minutes more footage in it, and from what I understand, it really does bring in some more of the mythology of the Nightbreed. So if that's something you enjoy, you watch this movie on the regular cut, and then you're like, dude, I want to learn more. Well, there's about 40 more minutes out there, and that's about it. There's rumors that there is more, that there's some kind of crazy 3 or 4 hour cut that Screen Factory's sitting on. It hasn't been released yet. I got no confirmation of that. Right now, all I know of is the original DVD, VHS, theatrical cut, and then the Scream Factory special edition cut. So, like I said, a little bit more of that deep mythology, because that is one of the things that this film really excels at, is you kind of get into it and you're like, yeah, you're learning more about it, and then you're like, oh, it's over? Damn. So yeah, that's a great reason to watch this movie, but it is also a little frustrating knowing that that's all you're gonna get. Another thing I'd like to mention is the slasher subplot of this film. Like I've said before in the past, I'm a big fan of slasher movies, and this movie is great because it mashes up 3 genres that I absolutely love. I love fantasy, I love creature features, and I love slashers. And this movie puts them all together. You would think that it would get muddled, but it doesn't. The slasher elements are very well executed. Unfortunately, you know, they made us believe that that's all the film was about. And it's like maybe 15-20 minutes of the movie, maybe at best, but it really delivers. So if you're a fan of slashers and you do love the blood and guts and the kills that come with slasher films, in the very small amount that's in this movie, it really does deliver in those areas. So the gorehounds, don't worry, this movie's just for you. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the creature design. It is off the chain. The monsters in this film look outstanding, and not just the monsters that are up in your face in the camera. They do this whole part where they're walking through the monster city and you're seeing all these different Nightbreeds and all these different creature designs, and even the background monsters look good. They didn't just take some guys and put some like makeup on their face and you're like, you're a zombie, stand in the background and go, Mrr. No, they designed individual creatures for everybody. It is like a makeup artist dream for this film. I could just imagine if somebody was handed this and was just like, oh, I get to do all this? Holy crap, thank you, because this movie is amazing. I love it. This is a movie that I always suggest to people if they talk about their love of makeup and film. And I'm like, have you ever seen Nightbreed? All in all, this film delivers in all of the things that it's trying to be. It's an excellent slasher film, fantasy film, and it's also a really good creature feature that flips the scripts and makes the monsters the good guys and the humans the villains. This is a film that's kind of similar to Pan's Labyrinth. If you're a fan of something like Pan's Labyrinth, that's really high concept creature design, beautiful sets, and then a really dark, horrible story, you are gonna love Nightbreed. So if you're curious and you want to check out Nightbreed, well, good news. It is streaming out there with commercials on 4 different streaming sites: Tubi, Pluto TV, YouTube, and Vudu. You can also find it for free for subscribers on Amazon Prime. Okay guys, that brings us to the end of another Film Geek video. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's another thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna.